Hello everyone, I'm Nathan, welcome back, and I would like to talk a little bit today about sandboxing. In the last video I showed you how to get started with Agent of Empires, how to install it, and some of the basic usage. And today I'd like to show you one of my favorite features of AoE, which is sandboxing. So if we go to create a new session, you'll see that there are a handful of options that you can specify before you create your session, and one of them is sandboxing. So basically what sandboxing will do is it will run your coding agent inside of a Docker container, and that way you can have fine-grained control over what your coding agent has access to and doesn't have access to, so that you don't have to be worried about it accidentally accessing some of your private information and either sending that to the cloud provider that's hosting the LLM or sending it to a different website. So you can then have a lot more confidence and not be as worried about prompt injections and all of that kind of stuff, because you can really control what is in that sandbox. So when we create that session, I'll go ahead and press space to enable it, and you'll see a handful of options, which I'll talk about briefly. The first one is the image that you can specify. So what I'm using here is the Docker image of a default container that I've built personally to help my work and something that I found useful. And we can take a really quick look here at the page that actually shows how I built this. So I have a base sandbox image that sets up a lot of the basic uh, tools around. I guess I can just show you that here. It sets up some of the basic stuff. It's based off of an Ubuntu container, and it's installing just, basically Node and some of the essential CLI tools. And this is really all you need to get started to be able to run Claude Code or Codex or Gemini or any of these coding agents. And then I have a dev image that I built for myself to get my stuff done that installs stuff like Rust and UV for handling Python package manager. It's a Python package manager. But if you have a specific need that you want to build a sandbox image to work for you, you can basically just inherit from my sandbox image and then do something like what I've done here to make whatever image you want to work for your use case. But let's hop back into the terminal. And so you can see there I specified the image that I create and publish. And then there's two other interesting fields that you can use, one of which is env-vars. So this is an easy way to pipe through environment variables that you already have set on your host machine and you would like to have also set inside the Docker container. So something I could do is, I guess I won't actually add it here, but if you wanted to say, make sure that your agent had access to the OpenAI API key from your container, you could specify this API key here and add it like that, and then you would be all off to the races and passing that API key through. And now there's some cases where you may not want to do a pass-through. You may want to specify a custom value. So let's go ahead. Let me just switch this back to, yeah, I'll do that. You may want to actually specify a specific value in this. So if I set an environment variable called temp and I'll set it to high, then this lets me quickly add environment values with their key value pairs. And then this last section, inherited settings, is just something that you can use to view what other settings are already inherited from your other settings that you've configured. And I'll talk in detail about how to use the settings of Age of Empires later. You can either do that in the terminal user interface, or you can manually edit a config.toml file. The last thing that I haven't specifically talked about yet is what's called YOLO mode. So all of these coding agents have something along the lines of a checkbox to let you bypass all of the permissions. So something from the getting started video that you saw is that the coding agent, because it wasn't running in YOLO mode, it wanted to write a file. And before it wrote the file, it asked me, hey, is it okay if I write this file? And it would do similar things if I wanted to make a web request or really do anything that worked outside of just a basic chat. So it can get kind of frustrating after a while to continue needing to approve these things. So YOLO mode just kind of blasts past all that and just gives the agent complete permissions to do whatever it wants and trusts that the agent is going to work in your best interest. I wouldn't recommend doing it outside of some kind of sandboxing, and that's why it's kind of powerful when paired with sandboxing. So I'll go ahead and put this in, and this will set up that sandbox container for us. And then what I should be able to do once this finishes loading is go ahead and echo out temp. And this should say hi. So there you go. So now you can just see that our custom environment variable did get set inside that container, even though it's not set outside. And that's just kind of a cool way that you can have all these custom sandbox and really get work done inside of a sandbox and jump over all of the usual frustrations that you would have trying to run and manage all these Docker containers that are running your sandbox agents. With this making it so easy, I just set my default to be sandbox and YOLO mode with some custom things passed through, and then running a sandbox agent is literally just as easy as running on the host, and that I can run it in YOLO mode with peace of mind that it's not going to accidentally touch or edit something that I really cared about that I didn't want to see. Hope this was helpful.